Hello, loves. I want to introduce you to Cindy Pacileo, owner of Cindy Pacileo and creator of Little Guys. Cindy makes adorable miniature animal sculptures from clay that have all sorts of personality. And she is here today to share her experience when it comes to taking her own product photos and what it's like to work with me inside of the Maker's Method. Thank you so much for joining me today, Cindy. Can you take us back to when you first kind of started? Well, tell us a little bit about your business, because you've been in business for a long time. 50 plus years?
Yeah, I've been in business for a long time, and I make little animals
Love them.
about 2 inches tall. Yeah. And I have made bigger things, other things, and I've struggled all those 50 years to take photographs of my work because I sell to individuals and I also sell to shops.
Mm-hmm.
So they carry whole lines of my work, and that's one of my primary ways of making a living is having my work in shops.
And have you worked with a professional photographer the entire time that you've been in business, or?
No. For the first 10 or 15 years, I took my own photographs, and it would wait till the light was right. I was always told outside on an overcast day. And so I'd run out and lay things out on my picnic table and get everything ready. And by the time I got them ready, the sun would be back out, or it was always a dance.
Yeah.
But I took photographs outside on a big white-ish sheet of paper. And that was back in film camera days.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to wait and see if I got anything worth using. But yeah, so I took my own photographs for a long time. And then I realized I was not good at it, and my product line was expanding. So I hired a local photographer to come in and take product photographs, and he did it here in my studio. And that was interesting. That was a large format camera, and we took just one shot of everything. And then I hired another person, a friend, to come in once a year and take photographs of my whole line, which is about 100 animals. And so it was a big, long day of photograph after photograph, and the prep I had to do to get ready for that one day a year when I'd have somebody here taking all the photographs. It was very stressful. And the cost of having a professional come in. But that once a year thing is also hard. And the in-between photographs that I took were not very successful. They were hard to edit. They didn't look like the other photographs when I would put them on my website and or in my catalog, either one. So it wasn't working real well.
Just looking for more consistency.
Yes, looking for more consistency. Right. And then with the pandemic, my photographer couldn't come to my studio for a few years, and that made it hard too, because then I had to take all of them myself, and I realized I was struggling.
Yeah. There's a little bit of freedom in being able to, sometimes even when we do hire out things and knowing the process, right? And then, having the ability to do it yourself to a certain degree. But in looking at transitioning into taking more of your own, what kind of things have you tried to, do to learn more about taking your own product photos?
Well, I've tried several different photo boxes or setups, and they were, most of them were not successful. The pop-up translucent cubes can be made successful, but the other things just were not. And I've tried taking photographs with a digital camera, and I'm a point and shoot photographer, and I had it on automatic, and I learned the settings on the camera that I needed to use. But that they weren't responsive to the different light situations, because it was a one size fits all kind of a situation. I call myself a techno peasant. I was really afraid of the camera technology, and so I kept getting poor results. I got things that were underexposed in general and not in focus from front to back. And this is 2 inches long. Front to back is not very long. So if I can't get that in focus, I'm really in trouble.
So inconsistency is probably your biggest struggle, right?
Right.
And then you have additional challenges with your type of product because they're reflective and
Mhm.
they are
Yeah.
so small. Like having a tiny product actually brings in a lot of additional, challenges as far
Yeah.
as being able to properly frame and capture, the product up close.
Right.
So remind me, I actually don't remember, but you joined with me in February of last year. How did you find me?
Facebook.
Nice.
You ran an ad and it just came up in my feed on Facebook, probably because I had watched other camera course introductions on Facebook. And so, when they would come up every once in a while and I would read through them and think, that's interesting. But at that time, my professional photographer was coming and I was working with that system. It was okay. But when yours came up, I knew I needed help.
Yeah.
And I responded, and I liked the way that you talked and introduced the situation. I took your 1 week course, free course on Facebook, and really learned from it. I mean, basic things I had been doing wrong or not even considering, and thought, okay, this is a path I can follow. And I've been really happy.
So you found me, and
Yep.
tell me about that now. How have things been for you? I know you're kind of gradually transitioning into it, but how have things been for you as far as, because one of your main struggles, like you said, coming in was, techno peasant.
Right, right. Well, I've learned to use some of the settings on my cell phone. I have a little tripod for it that works. It's right in scale with my little guys. I've learned to focus. I didn't know how to do that on the cell phone before. I've learned more about exposure. I'm still working with the exposure because I keep being afraid when it goes all white that it's not going to work. And so, but it does work. It really does work.
Mm-hmm.
I got big lights that go with my photo cube, and those have helped immensely. I'm learning a few other tricks for how to create shadows within that photo cube. I'm just beginning to learn my DSLR camera and take it off of automatic and learn what the settings mean, but all this background of learning with my smartphone has given me enough introduction to the terms and enough understanding of what the correct exposure can do for me to want to learn the DSLR camera now. Before I was just afraid of it.
And that's interesting because we have a lot of students in there. We were just talking about that with Joanne yesterday, but where you come in, and a lot of what I teach is specific to non-photographers, right? So we are talking about the basics of using your smartphone camera, potentially using natural light or moving into artificial light if you just want that plug and play system. But I'm finding that a lot of students, as I continue to work with them and the longer I'm in this business, they get to a point where they actually are starting to enjoy the process and they actually get intrigued about taking it to that next level. They start to see results, and then it makes them wonder, well, what kind of results can I get with this? Or can I get with this? And they start wanting to learn more about dynamic lighting or learn more about using their DSLR camera versus, the smartphone camera. And it's fun to watch you guys go through that process, because the longer I'm in business, the longer I work with, students, and I get to see, that transition of them gaining confidence and wanting to actually learn more and do more creatively. Thank you, with their photos. And it's a really fun process to watch. So
I had never considered doing a styled photograph or a lifestyle photograph. I mean, the crazy ones I did were so offbeat that nobody got them anyway. They didn't understand. I put bunny rabbits out in the snow and create a path for them to slide down. It was silly stuff. But now you've taken me through the process of actually figuring out what my customers would like to see and settings that they would like to see my little work in, and create whole environments for them. So that's fun.
It
I
is.
like that.
It's like an extension of, that creativity of when you, made the product. I always say that when you're creating products, you're thinking, you have this vision in your mind, right? And you have to kind of play that out in your head of either how it will be used or what it's going to look like in somebody's life. And really that's, essentially what product photography is. It's just kind of bringing that to life. And it's really cool to see that unfold. And you brought up a good point because your business is a little bit different. So Cindy mainly does wholesale. She offers retail, but she does a lot of wholesale. And so she's focusing a lot on, line sheets and studio shots on, white, and not necessarily having to market, because that's another thing. She's been in business for so long. She's not necessarily looking to bring in new customers. So her goal when joining the Maker's Method wasn't necessarily to gain more sales or to get more exposure on social or anything like that. It was simply to be able to have the flexibility of, being able to shoot her new products and that stuff, and work around, the concept of, because after the pandemic happened, I think that brought a reality to all of us that life can change like this pretty quick, right? So we need to focus on things that we can kind of keep things more in our control. But even looking at, you working towards styled images, lifestyle images for your website banners or anything like that, it's a lot of fun to watch that kind of come to life, especially with your little veggies. I enjoyed that process of watching your little veggies come to life recently. So if anybody is on the fence and knows that product photography is going to be the thing that grabs people's attention, gets them to into their listing, into their shop, and gets them to actually purchase the product, but they've tried everything at this point, right? Like they've taken it to Google, Pinterest, YouTube. They're trying to piecemeal it together. They feel like they've tried all the things. They've bought all the equipment. And how is this going to be any different for them? What's your advice if they're on the fence and they're not sure if it's going to be the right move? What's your advice to them?
Well, you come into a group when you take your course. You all of a sudden get your advice, but we also see situations that other craftsmen are facing. And my gosh, I've learned so much from Tina, just from other people and what they're doing and how that can apply to my work. So I'm in a community of people who are all working toward the same goal, which is to represent their creative work reasonably well, to the buying public. And so that's a real advantage, is to be part of a group and to have your leadership as a mentor and a teacher, because you understand the processes that we're going through and take us into new areas that we have never even thought about. So trying to think about how else to answer.
We'll talk about that a little bit. So a lot of times people buy courses and they don't come with support, or they come with a community, but the coach really isn't present in the community. I really strive to do business different. So there's a lot of different ways you can get support inside of the Maker's Method. One is posting questions to the group. And like Cindy said, we have so many people involved in that you get, opinions. And I love that, because while I'm the expert, my photography is very subjective. We talk about that a lot. It's art. So there's things that somebody may point out or notice that make them feel a certain way, and everybody shares that, and it's super helpful. But we also do group calls monthly. We do one-on-one calls where you have support with me one-on-one. So how has that been helpful to you?
Well, that's been amazing, because sometimes we have a question that takes some exploration. I mean, we have to really work through a process to figure out how to get something photographed. And you work with us one-on-one with our product to show us how to get solutions that we need. And you do it sometimes live in the group so that the others get to learn from that process. But you're really on the Zoom with just one of us at that time. Sometimes you do it off of Zoom because the product is technical and it's hard to do. Sometimes you do teaching videos where you actually talk to us enough and realize you're going to show us how to do it. So you go recreate the situation and take the photographs and walk us through step by step how to do it. I mean, you've got an infinite variety of ways of teaching us. That's been really fun. because
Yeah.
I learn visually and kinetically, try it myself, and then, uh-oh, this didn't work. And then I actually know my questions. I
Mm-hmm.
know what I don't know. And I can, and then I'm more open to hearing the responses. And so that support that you do, that one-on-one support, is a great way to answer those questions when we're struggling and understand that we don't know how to do it.
Yeah, because I mean, everybody's product is, has different challenges. If you're using natural light, natural light is constantly changing and we all have different light available to us. So that's one thing that, any coach or course that I've taken or worked with, like I've always seen the best results when I've worked directly with or had access directly to the expert. And so I've always just strived to really, accomplish that in my groups. And it's one of the things that I love doing as well, like getting to know you guys on a personal level and getting deep into your business and having eyes on your business. There's so much that goes into that when you're trying to create images that are going to connect with a very specific person or that are going to have a certain brand aesthetic to it. Like you have to be able to understand the product that your students are creating and, what their goals are with their business and all of that. It's all encompassing.
Yeah, you are amazingly present in this group. I mean, as teacher and as guide and as encourager and supporter, it's great. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate the community you've created.
Well, and the same. So Cindy jumped on, we do a make and mingle once a month, and she jumped on and, educated us in certain regards. And, we did that yesterday too. It was kind of a student-led one on in-person markets. Cindy's got on and taught about wholesale before. So everybody's in there just helping, each other help. And you're all going towards that goal of trying to grow our businesses and everybody's there to support in that capacity. And it is a wonderful community. Thank you so much, Cindy, for joining me today to share. Any last words?
Yeah, I wanted to say that my wholesale customers, have loved my photographs this year. They have commented on them, more comments than I ever get. So that's just been exciting. Yeah.
That's so exciting. That's so exciting to hear, especially
Yeah.
when, people are starting to notice things.
Yeah, and I've successfully introduced a line that I didn't know if it would fly or not, but with good photographs, it did. I'm happy. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us today to share your experience.